right. Morning, Ryan. Good morning, Alex. Good morning, Madison and Rylan. Good morning, Lorenzo. Good morning, Ryder. Good morning, Noelle and Parker. Good morning, Sage and Frankie. And good morning, Isabel. Although, Isabel, I think you would have to pull up your individual schedule. If you're using your individual schedule, then you're fine. Just trying to figure out if you're supposed to be social studies in the morning and science in the afternoon, but it doesn't really matter there. Who did I just miss? Malaya. Malaya, you are also supposed to be in math right now with Mrs. Tuman. All right, did I miss anybody else? Doesn't look like it. We do have a lot of people right now, though. Maybe they'll be popping in. Maybe they accidentally went to Tuman's too. So remember, basically you have class at 9 or noon every day for about an hour, and then small groups twice a week. Okay. Oops, I was supposed to change that. Let's see if this works today. I don't think it's going to. I'm gonna have to reshare. Yep. Why is it doing that? Good morning, Wyatt and Robert. Go ahead and open up your Nearpods. Thank you to those of you who have your cameras on. It helps for our new students. It helps for everybody else to be able to see faces, learn social cues. Much appreciated. All right, so you should be working within your Nearpod. So following up from last Friday where you were, and I don't think a lot of you followed the science lesson like you were supposed to. You were supposed to go digging through the garbage a bit safely and make a chart of, you'll see an example, make a chart of all the types of stuff that you find in your garbage. So that was the investigation. Garbage rummaging to see like what types of materials are in there and quantity. So today we're going to kind of wrap that piece of the lesson up and start the next one. So that was who made this mess with the Pacific Garbage Patch. And now we're focusing on who's cleaning up this mess. So we'll be doing some research in groups. So this is an example of what your chart should have looked like that you were supposed to draw. Well, you weren't, I'm sorry, not draw. You were supposed to list under the topics like paper and plastic and whatever. You were supposed to list the type of stuff that you found in there. And then you were supposed to put the number like 1, 2, 3, 4 above the category of, you know, 1 was had the most stuff, 4 had the least amount of stuff. So in today's Nearpod, I mean, it's a draw it, but you can use your text box here in the draw it slide to answer this question. Of the materials you found, which do you think is the most harmful? Now, if you didn't do last Friday's science lesson, you need to keep up on your work. It is very difficult for all classes, every single subject. If you don't do the previous lessons, you're usually missing information that is relevant to this next lesson. So if you didn't do it, you can use this chart and try and pick from here. But those of you who did look through the garbage, which do you think out of what you found would be the most harmful? So go ahead and fill that out. I don't know anymore. Okay, most of you are probably wrapping up your answer there. And so now we have our science journal first page assignment. I'm so excited about this new journal experience because, like I said before, as a scientist, you want to be able to go back and look at all of your data from past experiences, especially, or investigations, especially when we're doing something like the claim, evidence, and reasoning, where we're answering questions about the investigation. We need to be able to see what our data says, and that was very difficult in the past unit because the stuff was broken up by chunks, right? So I have found a way around the technology. So all you have to do is click on the picture of the cover of this journal in your slide, and it should take you right to the Google Classroom assignment that has your journal in it. Okay. So personally, I wouldn't worry so much about turning in the journal, just making sure that you're saving your work. So you are going to open that up. Do I have mine open? Yep, right here. Good Lord. Why? Google Meets needs an update or something. Okay, let me try this again. There we go. So once you open up the journal, you will see the Earth and Space Systems cover. Okay. And if you, your version should have colors here. Does your version have colors all over the numbers? Hello? Okay, perfect. Thank you for the feedback. So when you click on page 1, it drops you right to page 1. So love how easy this is going to be for you to use. And so you're going to read through this. I can actually read the first part here for you since we're here together in class, and then you're going to use the text box feature to write your answers. Your class has taken a peek into the effect of plastic throwaways. That's what you did when you looked through the garbage. And probably noticed there was a lot of plastic in your garbage, unless your household already does a lot of recycling like mine does. So discuss with your group. Oh, I should have changed that a little bit. Okay. Well, so it's not a schoolyard cleanup. It was us going through our garbage, okay? So subtract the schoolyard cleanup because we're not here together, and insert going through my own garbage, but then the video on the Pacific Garbage Patch is still relevant here. Discuss what information you need to learn to make an informed decision about the effects of the use of plastic throwaways on the land, bodies of water, air, and plant and animal life. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes right here to have some discussion, but I think that we should read through the questions first so that we know what it is we're going to be writing about, and that might help lead your discussion a little bit. So number 1 says, make a list of the plastic that you use today. I guess you can do that on your own, sorry. Write ideas for other material or items you could have used or substituted. Write your ideas for reducing the effects of plastic on the environment. And write what you need to know about Earth's resources and environments that will help humans to take steps to help protect them. So what I'd like you to do right now is I'd like a few people to be willing to unmute and just start that conversation because it says discuss. Discuss your reaction to the amount of plastic you found in your garbage. Discuss your reaction to, I know you did a collaborative board, but now we can have a little conversation, to the Pacific Garbage Patch video. And you can also discuss like what kind of information would you need to learn and make an informed decision to protect those spaces. Step out of that comfort zone. To answer Frankie's question, what if we didn't use any plastic today? I want you to really slow down and think about everything you've touched. Have you brushed your teeth? Have you brushed your hair? Those are probably made out of plastic. What have you drank or ate anything? Now, those could be glass or some other material, or they could be plastic. If you have picked up your phone, your case might be, if you have a phone, your case could be plastic. Some of your headphones are plastic. So lots of options there. I am a little disappointed though, no one is speaking up. I know I'm currently talking, but you don't need to write right now. I want conversation before you start writing. So let's refocus and have a brief couple-minute discussion before we start writing.
So it's like a reaction of how much plastic we found. Okay. I found, well, before this assignment went out, I found a lot of plastic in my garbage, and it was very surprising.
Thanks, Bentley, for sharing. You can also share your reaction to the Pacific Garbage Patch.
May I?
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
So when I looked through my garbage, there was a lot of plastic, and I got like a little scared because I thought how that would affect the earth.
Good. Thanks for sharing, Isabel.
My reaction to the video was I couldn't watch it again. It was really sad.
Sad is a very normal reaction. Yep. Let's hear from some other people. We've got plenty of people here.
I thought it was upsetting and really, really hard to watch.
Thanks for sharing, Noelle.
I'd like to share on the video, please.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, so when I watched the video, it made me feel really sad because how people are treating the earth, so it's really sad.
Good. Thanks for sharing. Okay.
All that plastic and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, plastic isn't necessarily always bad, but there are ways that we can make a difference. And, I think one or two of you may have been aware of this prior to, because I feel like Parker might have brought up the Great Pacific Garbage Patch at one point in time earlier in the year. But for most of you, it was probably your first time hearing about it. And you're going to learn quite a bit more over this unit about a lot of those types of things. So I'm going to give you some time to answer questions 1, 2, and 3, okay? And then we will continue moving on in the lesson. I should also just remind you or say, if you want to talk with classmates about this or ask questions or whatever, you could do so during this time. Like, I know you're going to be writing your answers, but when we're working in our journal, sometimes I'm going to ask you to do it on your own because I really want like a really good idea of what you know specifically, but a lot of times we want to collaborate together. All right, let's take a quick attendance picture before I forget again. And I am also wondering if you could put in the chat, maybe when you're done with this page is what I'm looking for. All right, so let's turn those cameras on and give a disgusted look or a sad look. Give a sad look because that's what most of you said you felt from the Pacific Garbage Patch video. In 3, 2, 1. Thank you. Leave them on, please. All right, let me look back at our lesson. There it is. So if you're not done with 1 through 3, that's okay. Just want to see where we're going next. Okay. Yep, let me know when you're done with this journal page because the next thing is going to be in groups. So we'll have to wait for that a little bit.
Read it.
I can't remember
Miss
what it
Davis,
says.
I'm trying to jog my memory on what reducing is.
Read it.
You're muted.
Thanks for asking. Gosh, where is my journal page right now? Oh, way over here. So reducing, that is in, so when you first start learning about recycling, usually we talk about like reduce, reuse, and recycle. So recycling is actually obviously putting stuff in somewhere and then making sure it gets to a recycle plant. Reuse would be like, I have this coffee mug that I can use on a daily basis. And then reduce would be more like either buying stuff that's reusable and or not purchasing some of those things. Like there's not as many areas in Battle Creek, but I've actually heard of a store that is like plastic free. So you can bring in like your own jars and stuff, and you can fill up your rice and your beans and that type of food through your own jars and then you don't have to buy like a bag of rice or a bag of beans that's wrapped in plastic. So reducing typically means that you're in some way cutting out what is being purchased. Let me
So
check this.
using less.
Yeah. And that's what Frankie said. Good. All right, so I know some of you are still working, but we really need to move on so we have time during collaborative time for this next portion. So in your Nearpod, go to slide 4, I believe. You'll see group 1 through 6 on there. Not that one. Yes, that one.
Which one?
All right, so it should look like this. So we are going to do some research about environmental programs. So the question we're trying to answer here is, how do people around the world take steps to preserve Earth's resources and environment? And like a lot of you said, that video was pretty sad, but we don't want to only focus during this unit on the negatives. We also want to focus on the positives, because there are lots of programs out there that are trying to make a really big difference. And I also want to talk to you before we read these articles about using a science lens when reading articles, especially in this case. Sometimes articles are, oftentimes, honestly, most of the time, somebody is paying for that company, that group, that whatever to publish stuff. So I need you guys to use your questioning skills and don't necessarily take all of the information in as true every time. You're going to have to decide what you think, what you believe, who you think is right. Because a lot of things that are written out there there might be a specific group of people. Like, let's take, not that I want to open politics, I don't really want us to be discussing it, but like, let's take politics. And we know that there are many different political groups, but most of us know that there's the Republican group and the Democratic group in politics, okay? Well, I could read, this one article, but it was really funded by a Republican group. So because they have the money behind this article, it's going to say what they want. And then the Democratic group, or the Democrats, may have this other article that they're funding, and the message is different because it's what they want and their money is behind it. So a lot of times you have to ask yourself, who funded this? What was their purpose behind it? What is their agenda here? And what do you believe? Okay. Now, yes, we're talking about science and we're talking about plastics and pollution and how to take care of the earth, but there are political groups behind a lot of this information who have a particular agenda. So I'm not giving this to you and saying, believe everything. In fact, this is one of the reasons I love science. Question everything. Question it. Do your own research. Try to find more facts. Try to find more non-biased places. So like when you're reading an article or when you're reading something or when you go to a website, if it says .com, anybody can get a .com. If it says .org, that's for organization. Typically, not always, but typically that means they're probably nonprofit. That means that they're not gaining a whole bunch of money from their organization. .gov would be a governmental website or resource. .edu at the end of a website is educational. I'm trying to think what else there is out there. So there's quite a few different kinds of websites, like the ending, where it depends on who is backing that stuff, okay? And honestly, this is part of life in general, is questioning things and trying to decide for yourself what you believe and what you think is right. And the more you learn, the more you can make some of those decisions for yourself. So you'll notice that there are group articles and then links to the Jamboard. So let me I really hate that Google Meets is messing up right now. So when I put you in a group, I'm also going to give you a Zoom link like you guys did for math yesterday. Inside that small group, you're going to look at that article. If people are going to read it out loud in the small group, it's volunteers only. You can never force a classmate to read out loud. If they don't want to, if they're not comfortable, that's okay. Hopefully there'll be at least one person in each group willing to read, or you can take turns. Remember, if we come across a tough word, use your reading strategies, but we never want to make somebody feel bad because there are adults still learning certain words. It's just part of life. There's no way you can know everything. And interestingly enough, the more you learn, the more you'll realize you don't know. So it's a weird cycle. But so after you read the article, you are going, Google Meets. At least you've worked really well for 18 weeks, and hopefully you will fix your bugs. Okay, so this is the Jamboard. Remember our Jamboard procedures, right? You're only touching your own stuff. You're making sure it's class productive. You're not deleting anything else that wasn't yours. And I would really like to see this collaborative. So when you get to your group Jamboard, you've already read the article, and now somebody from the team is typing in the main idea, and somebody else is putting in supporting details, okay? All right, so which groups are you in? Give me 1 second here. I'm disappointed some people have left. They shouldn't have left. This is still class time. All right, let's have Bentley is in group 1. Frankie is in group 1. Sage is in group 1. And Robert. Okay, so you guys can go ahead. Oh, I have to give you the Zoom link. Duh. Let's get everybody switched over to Zoom real quick, and then I can finish telling you what group you're in. So when you start to open up Zoom, go ahead and mute and turn your camera off in this Google Meet, and then when you are all the way into Zoom, you can log out of this if you'd like. So the Zoom link is in the chat.